Hi, I'm Doug Hecht from Walla. And I am mildly panicked about the social aspects of remote work.
Knut Ha.
Hello, how are we? That's
Knut
me.
Jensen.
Known by many names.
Do you have a middle name?
Yeah, but we're not going to go there.
Well, we just did. The fact that we can't go there, it only makes me want to go there.
It's Ivan, but it's not written the way you think.
Someone in the family stuffing a Bulgarian?
Nope.
In the mid-centuries?
No.
No, huh?
Well, we never know, but
There's a hottie in Sofia, Bulgaria somewhere.
According to my
Going,
23andMe,
where's my tall Norwegian son, Knut? Hashtag.
According to my genealogy report, there's no Eastern European.
Sorry, I'm going to tell you that Ivan is the most Eastern European possible. Ethan, drop everything at Lindzon Corp and
research that.
Get on the internet. Use your use AutoGPT. Use whatever it takes at Lindzon Corp to find out who's stupping who in Norway in the 60s. When were you born?
61.
We want to see flight logs of, what was your dad's name?
Paul.
We need Paul Jensen's flight. You just figure this out.
Yeah. Assignment for the next week.
He's on it.
Drop everything, which means you have work to do finally at Lindzon Corp. And it's cool. I'm staring at my guests, which is a new thing. We've added a new technology where I can see my guest disappointment building as the show starts because they're going, wait a minute. I didn't know it was this bad a podcast. I thought I was going to be on a podcast just about me. And here's Howard just talking about the goings-ons of the Jensen family in the mid-century. Was very intrigued, Knut. This is very interesting. You've never offered up this information. Mine's a straight name, Howard Andrew Lindzon. My parents didn't want to screw, but they screwed, and they had me. And they ruled the day. That marriage was doomed the minute I dropped out. Yeah. And
that's what they all said.
They did not get along, and I took great joy in keeping them apart. It was all my routines. It was my early days. I needed all the routines I could, Knut. Yeah.
Well, you had some great material for your stand-up comedy.
Here's the problem with the pod, because I'd like to take it to a very dark level, to the dark. It would be darkness with Howard, kind of like Bruce Springsteen's breakout album, Darkness in the Edge of Town. I would like to break out this podcast and really be Howard. Be the Howard that Ellen knows but doesn't know, and be the Howard that 56-year-old white men who are semi-rich can look up to and say, wow, he's a truth speaker. So where am I going with this?
New name for it, True Panic with Howard.
Or Lindzon After Hours.
There is this dark side that I can't fully be true to myself because my mom now listens to the podcast because we bought her an iPad.
Oh, no.
And maybe one of the worst decisions Howard's ever made, or Howard's followers, or Howard's, well, it's really my fabulous nieces, bought her an iPad because instead of her calling me and saying, Howard, what are you doing today? CNN said there's trouble out there. They got her an iPad, and now she reads my blog every day and has somehow figured out to listen to Panic with Friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she thinks you're fantastic, Knut.
Well, thank you.
I think this Ivan thing will throw a loop in. She's very, very, I would say racist. She doesn't think she is. She also doesn't think she needs meds. But Mom, if you're listening, yes, meds would work. And you are racist. But anyways, when she hears this Ivan news, she's going to have a lot of questions, unfortunately. And so I have to be very careful what I say on this pod because she is a listener. And if I felt that we could get her a microphone and that I could trust her, she'd be a great guest. But I don't trust her because she sees me much differently. I was treated like a prince.
This could be really interesting.
I was treated like a prince as a child, which might explain some things too. So anyways, we do this show here called Panic with Friends, where it's not just about me and my phobias and a dark childhood, where we talk to good friends of mine who are out there building things. And this one happens to be a great company, born during COVID, I believe. And, most people were investing over Zoom. We luckily have a lot of friends around the world that picked up. And as time went out, we already knew them. So yes, we did stuff over Zoom, but we already knew them, had dinner with them, yelled at them. They've yelled at us. They've fired us multiple times, and still yet want to do business with us. So my guest today is one of our fast growing companies. The company is called Hello Walla, and we've had great success in the enterprise space around things like Hello Walla. But Doug Hecht, and I go way back. He's been an LP in our fund before we were investors in his company over the years. So I think he's a happy LP. We golf together, not well, but we golf together. We talk strategy together, great sense of humor. He's a great friend of the firm and a really seasoned, I would say, operator.
All right.
We'll talk a little bit about the world that exists today because he has this Mad Men background. For 18 years, he built a firm called Digitaria, and that's where I got to know him in San Diego when he was looking to invest in startups and knew who I was and invested in our funds. He left the dark side, started a company called Lymber, which was acquired by MindBody. If I'm not, we'll dig a little bit into that, and then was in the bowels of MindBody, which is really, I would say, one of the oldest but yet hated software products for the mind and body, for the yoga and wellness space, bought by private equity every year, I think, kind of like the Del Hotel in San Diego. It's being bought right now and sold again, and code being destroyed as we speak. And really interesting industry, the mom and pa, the yoga / pole dancing. I don't know, I think pole dancing. I hope poles. And because I have a pole, and I haven't, it's a Peloton pole that I have. It's a new product that they have. For $200 a month, it comes with a dancer. And that's what I told my wife. So just keep that between us. Yeah. I think she's wondering why there's a Brazilian woman in our house with a pole. And I told her it was from Peloton, gift.
Okay.
And that's just a free idea to Peloton. Anyway, so he's told us he's panicked about remote work. I mean, here's a guy who spent 18 years demanding everybody in the office for creativity. So we know everybody's lying because we know how the world worked before COVID. And most importantly, couldn't be a worse time, you would think, to back during COVID a business built on getting small business back to work. So I want to hear the story. Company's growing super fast. Probably one of the great products. Again, not everybody gets to use this as the product for small business and mid-sized business and reservation and everything that goes beyond running a studio and small business around services like this. And so then he lives in San Diego, which is dream life for me. He's got 3 kids. One's heading off to college, not quite empty nest euphoria like Howard. So he can't appreciate how great my life is, but maybe one day he too will get there. And he's in he's in one of those fancy new Gothic homes that San Diego is known for. And so let's get him on the phone.
Will do. But first, a word from our sponsor.
This podcast is brought to you by Distance, the ultimate shopping destination for cyclists and endurance athletes. Discover top-tier cycling brands from around the world all in one place. Get free shipping and returns when you sign up to join their community of athletes, ambassadors, and enthusiasts alike. If you're a cyclist like me, check out Distance, that's dstnc.com, and save 15% on your purchase by using code PANIC15. That's dstnc.com, and the code is PANIC15. Doug, you're on.
Good morning. How are you?
Hey, buddy. You look great.
Thank you.
Is it diet or is it chemicals? Are you on that drug that Trump's on?
No, I'm not. I don't take my medical advice from Trump. But we always wish we could be in a little better shape. I'm working on it.
You're working on it. It's a grind, isn't it? Are you 50 yet? You're 50.
Yeah, I'm 56.
Oh, you're 50. So we are the same age. I'm 57 going on 58. I've been telling people I'm 65 so that they at least comment that I look good. We're at this weird age, you and I, where like people go 56 and they look at you like they're sizing you up like,
yeah,
how many years you got left to live and should they feel sorry for you? And I have found a little trick that I'm giving away for free here to guests at this age is tell them you're 65. People go, fuck, what are you doing? And yes, you've lied. It's a mini lie, but people will have a new respect for you.
I am all for that. I think, you and your prostate, they can't see what's really going on.
Listen, this is the danger right now. You see me drinking water. We will have to break because I just had a sip of water, and that goes right to, I think, my Manscaped parts, which is a plug for Manscaped there. Now, you were in San Diego, a hotbed of startups. We now have Walla there. You started Lymber there. I found it an impossible place to start a company when I started StockTwits there. It was hard to get people to commit to anything with blue skies and beaches and lots to do outside. But now that you're there, what is it like starting a company in San Diego where there's so much other stuff to do?
I think it's getting better. As you know, I've spent many years working with people around San Diego to get startups here. Yeah. I've invested in a lot of startups here on purpose, trying to focus on San Diego. And I think it's getting better. I think with everything going on in San Francisco, we've been able to pull or keep the engineers that come out of school here. More and more people want to come down to San Diego. So it's getting better. I mean, we have some unicorns here now. Drat has done well, and Science.com's done well. And so I think we're seeing it turn around here in San Diego.
Listen, I'm living the life San Diego, Phoenix, so I'm biased, but San Diego is the greatest place on earth. Forgetting taxes for the moment. And again, I'm on Coronado where my tax dollars go to great use. Really? Everything's paved and clean, no crime. Yeah. It's a military base, but the rest of California kind of fucked up. But it is just such a great place. So what was your draw to San Diego?
Yeah, I'm from here. I'm one of the few, right?
Oh, okay.
So I grew up here. I went to college at UCSD here. And so I have this weird perception that it's not as great as it really is.
Got it.
I see you traveling to Tel Aviv, and I hear your stories, and I keep thinking, based on the taxes, it is time to get out.
Yeah.
And everybody says I'm crazy, but I don't. Well,
you are a little bit crazy, but you have kids that are still in school. Have you thought about leaving?
Oh yeah.
Where would be a city that you would go to? Have you and the missus plotted this?
A little bit. I love Park City, near a major.
Tom and Gary now are there. Yeah, my partners are there.
Near a major airport, you can get a lot of places quickly.
Mm-hmm.
My wife loves Nashville. I don't think I could be.
I heard not. Listen, I'm going there again. It's just crowded and weird.
It's getting crowded, and the airport I don't think is big enough to be useful. I don't know. Then you run out of places, right?
No, Phoenix is up there, man. I know
really?
The summers are brutal, but it's really spectacular.
And you have a great airport.
Honest to God, if you're a person of sound mind, you want a great airport. First, location, San Diego's is phenomenal for me. That's why I loved it. The taxes were brutal, but I had the benefit of the government really fixing things on the island, other than the ocean. That's a whole nother story with these crazies. But everything worked beautifully on Coronado, including the public school relative. So you pay the taxes and you smile.
Yeah.
But anywhere else in California, I would say no. But Phoenix really is, from airport to diversification to weather to access to California, access to Park City, Colorado, Mexico. It's the last bastion of, I am now Mr. Phoenix boy.
Okay.
So
I'll consider it.
It's a place to consider. 4 or 5 months a year, it's fantastic. And I don't think they check. Once you sneak out of California, Phoenix, no one's checking. So let's get down to real life. You're a great parent. We talk about the kids all the time. Let's talk about your child, Hello Walla. This wasn't this goes to entrepreneurship where it's just domain experience built on domain experience built on I know what the customer wants. So, you're not a youngin'. This is your, another shot on goal. You started this company post 50 years old. What was it about Walla that got you off the bench?
I think getting off the bench is easy for me. I don't like being on the bench.
Well, you're an operator, so yeah.
I've taken a few months on the bench now and then, and hopefully my wife doesn't listen to your podcast. I'm gonna tell you the way I look at it is somebody told me don't get on the wife's org chart.
Ooh.
And I said, well, what does that mean? And they said, don't worry about it. But if you take some time off, you'll know what I mean. About a week in, well, where are you going? Oh, I'm gonna go hit some golf balls. Oh, can you pick this up on the way home? Oh, okay, no problem. Yeah. You pick up the kids from school?
You're head of ops.
No problem.
You're head of home ops.
Well, except you don't have that. You have the responsibilities, but no authority.
Yes.
Right.
Good point.
You're just tasked. Right.
Yeah.
And so I quickly got on the org chart, and I realized that, one, I think you need to have purpose. There's there's something about nobody emailing you that gets a little bit worrisome. Like nobody really cares where you are, what you're doing. So I think you need to have purpose, but also you're going to do something. Like I'm not an empty nester though. I can't have the life of leisure. My wife works very hard, and I just became an assistant to that hard work, and I'm better at doing other things. So I have to get off the bench.
Plus, you're an operator. Like, I know you are because of your past success, so it's exciting for us. We believe the world is short operators. Therefore, it'd be a shame if guys like you sat on the bench. We are so short operators, as this last bubble has kind of shown out. So you went back to the same kind of thing. What was the itch that you were scratching? You were working inside the beast that is MindBody. Is it as bad as people say about old software companies? Now, you were on both sides of the fence there, but I used to remember you just laughing about it.
Yeah, it's a 20-year-old software company, and I think they have all the problems of 20 years software company that has never really replatformed that you're going to have. So it's very difficult. It's hard to take complex systems and make them simple, right?
Yeah.
And so we just looked at it and thought, let's start with simple. Let's ask clients what they want. Let's look at how they work. Let's work our way from there. Let's start simple and avoid complication at all cost and only add it as necessary. So I think we have in some way, the last mover advantage here.
I like that.
So
I think everything post Web 2 is last mover advantage right now.
Absolutely.
It's like Web 2, and you and I are old enough to know this, it was a fucking stupid. Like, I mean, I loved everything about it because it gave me, a sense of identity around speed and accomplishment. But I think things move so fast that nothing got done at many levels, right? There's just this blur of written code that there was no passion in it. There's no true, it was just freemium gone wild. And no one really built stuff from the ground up. And I say this with Uber in mind. Uber's the greatest product ever. And I take taxis more than I've taken since Uber started in year 2023. I'm like, so software didn't solve that problem. In fact, software has driven me to taxis, which is like a death race. I took a taxi in New York, which was like literally playing a video game with your death on the line versus waiting 10 minutes for an Uber. So I chose death over safety, which is pretty amazing because Uber's not a bad app. So that's like Web 2's a blur of like stuff that we might not have ever needed.
I think we're coming back a little bit.
Yes. Now we're getting into the craft. We'll get back to the craft of being an entrepreneur and building product that lasts.
Right. Yeah, I think about your 8-to-80 investment strategy quite a bit. And so I'm taking all of your advice on everything financial. But I think that's how I look at even the new technology, the new apps. I mean, we're seeing blowback on Airbnbs and Vrbo, and everything has to come back to center eventually. I think we just got there so fast. And now with AI, we're racing again into that. Let's make everything AI. We just don't know where that end is. I'm telling founders to just take AI out of their pitch. If they can't raise money without AI in the pitch, they probably shouldn't be doing the pitch. I agree. I think it's in what we're doing, there's always been some level of AI, just in,
of course,
which
common
is
sense is
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And so, I'm excited about some of the time-saving things that AI is allowing us, but it's not going to revolutionize how people visit a yoga studio.
No.
So
that's really what it comes down to. Hello Walla was born around, how do we make this studio experience better is the customer first? Is the customer the actual customer that walks in the studio, or is the customer the studio itself? Or do you have to think through both perfectly?
We have to think through both perfectly. I think, our client, our customer, the yoga studio, they want their client to have a great booking experience. And they want to send them emails and do marketing to them, but they don't want to bother them. It's just a constant battle between, how do we give them tools to communicate with their clients properly without letting them do too much and ruin that relationship. But what made MindBody special for so many years is they built just a very large piece of software that's incredibly flexible, and the studios love it. They don't love the way it was built anymore. I mean, I think there's a lot of issues, like I said, in 20 years, but they love flexibility. They love to be able to do anything they want, even if it's really hard, even if it doesn't make sense or isn't intuitive. They still figure it out, and they want to do things that are complicated, even though they shouldn't. You think running a yoga studio would be fairly straightforward? It's unbelievably complicated.
I believe
unbelievably complicated. So that's what we set out to do, is simplify the relationship between our customer and their clients, and simplify how those clients run their business. And that's where we're really winning, is it's just a much better product. It's much more simple to use. Our customer support is amazing. It's almost just stepping back and saying, one thing the agency allowed me to do is work in a lot of different types of industries with a lot of different types of businesses. And so we always had to apply best of breed across anything we did. And we're bringing that to fitness. We're not looking at it and saying, well, let's just be marginally better than whoever's out there. We're saying, let's make this, best of breed for any industry.
It's so interesting because as we matured as a firm, Fund One, you're an LP of ours, so you've seen the results. They were great. I don't think anybody's ever complained, including myself, meaning Robinhood, customer. We believed in what we believed, but it was still a different way of how we thought about investing. And by Fund 3, which Walla's in, and Marble Law, which is in the legal space, and Alpaca, which is in fintech, but we have Robin Healthcare in the healthcare space. We have One Up Health in the healthcare space. It just feels like a better expression of who we are, and we've just come into your own as an entrepreneur or as both an investor. There's some excitement to these emerging managers, and I guess Fund 3 is still emerging manager. But as I look through our Fund 3 portfolio, which you're in, it's just like we're so much better at thinking about how it is as operators. And again, it's like vintages of wine. Sometimes you just get lucky. And so how did you think about, because you raised money, it was a no-brainer to us because you're a founder that we can back, but the timing was weird, right, because of COVID. So I can't remember when you started versus COVID and how long you had to be patient for. So how did that all work?
Yeah, we started in March of 2020, which I think is the shutdown.
So that's when we funded you, right? Right as it was starting?
Shortly thereafter, a couple months thereafter.
Sure, yeah.
But we decided to do this the month COVID locked us down.
I wanted to call your yoga company VIX 90. And, you said people won't understand that in a little while. Trust me, Howard. So I'm not a good marketing person, but I thought, wow, people remember you started this company at VIX 90.
Yes.
So you didn't care. You just had an idea to build this software and it didn't matter. Yeah.
I mean, I think we knew that, first of all, like I said, MindBody is a large piece of software. And that's the audience we're going after because they needed a better solution. And we knew it would take time to build. That is the moat isn't quality. The moat is just sheer number of features and abilities. And we needed to get there. So we needed to get to feature parity. So we knew it would take some time. We knew people would come back to the gym. And the space was really booming prior to COVID. So people were still going where they could. In Texas, they were still full. Studios were still full. So we knew they'd come back, and we knew we had probably 2 years till we were really up and running where we wanted to be. And it's worked out. I mean, I think in one of the funds you have an investor or some relationship with Yoga Loft in Manhattan Beach, or I think Mike does. Yeah. Okay. One of your guys. And, they had a great January. People came back this year. So we're excited that, people are getting back to the gym. I think it speaks to the social aspects of it. People want to get out and see people. Oh man, dude, events businesses. Yeah. Oh my God. I call myself guilty because I liked Zoom life. Yeah. I could truly hide out and be the antisocial person that I like to be. I like watching movies with Ellen, my daughter, whoever's around. I can do nothing. I am wired to be drugged in a way that I can also be busy 24/7. Yeah. So COVID was like a forced slowdown for me. So it was heaven. I felt like I could get my shit together. But the idea of investing through COVID was horrifying to me, meaning other than you, I couldn't bring myself to write checks to people I didn't know. And that worked out for me. It wasn't that I wasn't working. I just couldn't get comfortable rushing into a deal. And for you, it worked out because you've been patiently building. Like you were never valuation focused. You guys were always about just building a great business. Yeah. And I think, now with, the challenges today are more about just the funding market. It has nothing to do with COVID in our case or where we are as a software company. It's, COVID really never entered the picture for us. We sort of built through that. And now it's when it's becoming more interesting looking at funding and, how people make those decisions.
And so where are you at? You've raised a Series A, so that's been no problem. Where are you at with focus on the company? The product's built, you're constantly building, but how many studios are now you, because you're going very deliberately here. So how many studios, if you can share some of the metrics that matter?
Yeah, there's about 200 studio locations now signed up.
And what's the TAM of this? How many studios? Are there 20,000, 50,000?
Yeah, we think there's probably 30,000 in the US.
Okay.
We will go enterprise at some point fairly soon, and that'll open that up to probably about 60,000.
And what does that mean? You would go to like an F45 or you would go to a bigger chain?
Yeah, our platform works really well if you have multiple gyms.
Got it.
But it doesn't work yet on the enterprise level where you might have a franchisor and then the franchisees, and they have a different level of reporting that they need to see. So it's a 10% change, really. It's not a big change, but they're longer sales cycles. And it's a very deliberate choice we have to make. So the 200
right now are deliberate because it's all independent.
They're all independents, multi-gym in many cases, but all single owner.
Got it. And is it all yoga, or I was joking about pole dancing, but is there a new thing, or is yoga still the thing?
Yoga's probably still the biggest. I think, kind of the hot new thing is Legree.
And what's Legree?
Legree?
Because I think I had a case of that at one point during COVID.
Yeah, Legree, I'm going to mess this up because unfortunately I don't do enough Legree. Mm-hmm. But Legree is it's kind of like an offshoot of Pilates. It looks much more painful and something that would put me down for a few days. So I try to avoid Legree, but people who do Legree love it. Love it. We have a fantastic...
So is it high intensity?
It's not necessarily high intensity, but there's a lot of stress. So it's on like a reformer type machine, like a Pilates would be. Yeah. But there's much more.
They tweak you. They go to 11.
Yeah, much more time.
They go to 11. So let me, Knut, you're laughing. You know what movie that is.
I know. Spinal Tap.
Yes, sir. We are starting to have some fun finally on this. We need, you know what? We're going to have a month of 50-year-old interviews where everybody's 50 and understands exactly what I'm talking about. Ethan's over here smiling, and he's 19. I don't know what he's smiling about. No. He's probably thinking about a girl and a lollipop. But us 50-year-olds, we know. So hang on. So what about HIIT, high intensity?
Yeah. HIIT's still big.
Dude, let me tell you something about HIIT. It kicked my ass. Have you done a HIIT class?
I have, yes.
So I just was in Europe. I was just telling Ethan this story last year. Dude, because I signed up for this. I'm at a fancy-dancy Amsterdam hotel. Maybe you stay there, conservatorium. I can't remember if I've recommended this hotel, but all my friends go there. And it's just, this hotel just gets better. It's overpriced, whatever, but it's the sparkling, fantastic Dutch hotel in Amsterdam, which in Amsterdam didn't have great hotels forever. And Web2 did force the game of certain cities like Amsterdam up their game because of Airbnb and Yelp and all these rating things. So, there is pluses. Amsterdam is the greatest Web2 city of, thank God. But anyways, I'm at this hotel, and one of the services, they have classes. I'm like, classes? How many people could be in a class? I'm in a hotel. Everybody's probably fat and German. And so I signed up for this class. And I'd just I'm in as good a shape as I can be in. I'm still a bit of a sloth, but I'd just come out of the Alps riding, and I had my one boo-boo on my elbow from riding in Jerusalem, so I can't do, what do you call them, planks? Can't do planks. The only thing I can't, I go to the instructor, I go, I can't do planks. He's cut out of a stone, this guy. And there's a chubby girl, and that's it. I tell him I'm 65, just so he can take it easy on me. He goes, oh, you look good for 65. And so it's working. Everything's working. And I don't look good at this point, even for 65, because my clothes, by this time, I had run out of clean clothes. So I'm on third generation of the same cycling clothes. And so I'm from Charlie Brown, the guy with the cloud following me and the sweat cloud following me into this class. And so now I'm competing with this young girl, and she's doing everything that this Jose is telling her to do. Jump. And we're doing some stuff that I am gassed within 10 minutes of this hour class. And I got to tell you, this high intensity thing, I, first of all, loved it. Second of all, hated it. And I was sore more than I've been sore from any other workout. So that shit must work. High intensity, there's something to this high intensity training that's fantastic.
Well, as long as we got all old guys in the room, I still love P90X. I
had that too during COVID. What's that? Does that affect your peeing? Does that affect how you go to the bathroom?
It just burns a little more, but No, it's the old. Remember
that should be the name of our podcast, Howard Lindzon. It just burns a little more. So, anyways, what's this P90X?
Remember they shipped it on DVDs, and it was like Tony Horton, and they send you a box of DVDs and some bands, but it's basically just push-ups and
it works
curls, and it's just old school. I still believe like anything you do consistently for 20 minutes a day is going to work.
Yeah. So I'm into this longevity thing. So I'm all, I'm into this hot yoga. I'm into all this stuff. So 200 studios, is it mostly California, or are you branching out of California? Is this like an 80-20 thing where you're California, New York, Texas? Or
no, it's all U.S. So that's the other choice we have to make is when to go international. That opens up the TAM quite a bit.
No, but I'm also U.S. Is it very much like 3 states controls 20,000 or no?
I mean, obviously California and New York are by far the biggest. But for us, not necessarily. We have, a good number of New York studios. We have a good number of LA studios, San Diego, San Francisco. But we're everywhere. We have studios in Wisconsin and, Philadelphia and Oklahoma, all over the place.
Now, you're a marketing guy, and we've known this from enterprise for a long time. There are a lot of lies in enterprise. I have a really big beef with some of the podcasters out there. They know who they are. And this is not just about having the best product. You got to market. Like, the best product doesn't necessarily win, as we know in MindBody.
Yeah.
So how do you measure that, knowing all you know about marketing and growth, and how do you accomplish it all? How do you think about that as a marketing mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, MindBody's always been, and I think we're the same way, is highly sales driven. I'd like to think PLG, and we do things that we can do in the product to particularly encourage upsells and things like that. But this is still, we know where the studios are. We're still calling. We do a lot of calling. So from the marketing side, it's almost old school of frequency. We're doing Google ads, and we're doing display ads, programmatic. We're doing all the normal things, social, but it's more about frequency. I think that what we look at is the moment of intent for our clients. The chance of calling or hitting somebody with an ad at their moment of intent, where they're saying, look, I've had it. I can't handle this software I'm on today.
Yeah.
They're going to have that moment in the next 6 months. We know that. We know that. But to think that we're going to get them or make a call that day is slim. So we just have to be there. We have to be top of mind. So we're doing a ton of content. We publish a ton of content. And we're expecting that the sales call that's going to work is going to be the 4th, the 5th, the 6th. We're going to build a relationship with these people and just, prove that we're here for the long term and are concerned about their business. So,
and are they price sensitive? I mean, these are studios, and I don't know what the turnover is at these independent studios and how many customers it takes for them to run a profitable business. I know these stretch labs are doing well, and I actually like the product to the point where I can't make an appointment half the time. So I'm a kind of a dissatisfied customer because, like haircuts, I just expect to be able to get stretched when I walk into a stretch lab, and it's like, no, we're busy. So I know it's working, and it's one of the simplest ideas ever. Could Hello Walla work for that type of business?
Absolutely.
Or did they build something off their shelves for themselves?
No, in fact, we have a new stretch company in San Diego that just signed up. So
I'm very excited for that space. I don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, true deep tissue massage is fantastic as a cyclist, but I do feel good when I get off. When someone does a good job and I feel a little bit longer, I do like Stretch Lab for some reason. I'm kind of sold on it.
Yeah, no, you talked about the hotter modalities, and that's definitely one of them is stretch.
Yeah, I wouldn't have predicted that in 100 years, but well done by somebody then. Now, are they franchise or are they all corporate owned?
I don't know about Stretch Lab themselves. It's a good question. I don't know.
I'm going to do some work and try and close that for Walla.
I appreciate that.
So right now, would you consider yourself more of a product company or a sales company?
We are shifting into more of a sales company, I would say. I think at our stage, we launched about a year ago now, so we're still early. But we're really pushing both sides of it to prove which one's going to work better. So we are pushing product forward. We are launching a brand new marketing automation system this month, which allows them to do all sorts of fancy communication.
That's the key trick is to get their people to have butts in seats or feet on floor. I don't know, is it feet on floor or butts in seats? What do they call it?
I've never heard feet on floor.
So what's the term in the industry?
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know, it'd be something on mats maybe or on something. I don't know. Good question.
So is there anything creative that can be done or is it just a relentless pursuit of customer acquisition?
Well, I mean, it's 90% or 95% relentless pursuit, persistence.
And what are you seeing in the marketplace? Is it just MindBody, or is there like hundreds of little software doohickey companies that have a few features? What are you seeing in the industry? Is it I hear nothing but love. Like I have friends who have studios and they call me and they're like so excited that you hooked up with them. And I think it was Mike Dean you were talking about.
Yeah, Mike Dean. Yeah, that's right.
He's the man.
Yeah.
So what are you hearing?
Yeah, there's a lot of little guys. We talk about ourselves as tier one. And, tier one is us, another competitor, and then MindBody's in tier one.
Got it.
And
so there's three of you is what you would say it as.
That's how we position it, because what the three of us can do is just far and away what the others can do. Now, the others will sell, they can do what we can do, but they can't really. Right. So there's a lot of smaller players, and they go cheaper, and what they don't understand yet is unit economics don't work. They just won't work. I mean, one thing in MindBody we knew is that whenever the competition would come up, we never really worried because we knew all the flaws they had in their systems and all the mistakes they were making. We just knew they wouldn't be around much longer. And it proved out. I think even in 2010, when Bessemer invested in MindBody, they called out like 60 competitors. And, and you've never heard of any of them anymore. And even when I was there in 2017, 18, the people that were coming up that everybody was so worried about, most of them are either irrelevant or already gone.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I mean, these businesses are hard.
Yeah, and you were already acquired once by MindBody, so you've been on both sides of this industry. And what's been the best story about the software and helping somebody? Like, what's the aha moment for the owner?
There's quite a few. I mean, I think when we looked at our stats recently, we saw that studios that had joined Walla, they were up about 220% revenue-wise since joining. Some of that was probably some January effect, but I'll take credit for the rest of it.
Sure.
That's a great story that their revenues picked up. There's plenty of stories about us saving them time and money, and they get back to spending time with their clients. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, if we can drive their revenue up and ensure that they are getting back to their clients at the right time and getting them to convert to memberships and encouraging them to come back, that's really it for us.
And how do you think of the fintech side of this? I forget, we've chatted about this, but who's your fintech partner? How do you think about that? Because the transaction is part of the business. Yeah,
so we use Stripe today. Stripe's great. Eventually down the road, we'll look at some of the PayFacs that are a little less expensive. Mm-hmm. But what Stripe gave us from day one was a few subroutines, invoicing and subscriptions and things that we needed because we hadn't had time to develop them yet. Mm-hmm.
Are most of the studios modern? Are they using Square or some type of modern format, or no?
No, everything runs through us. So our software runs on iPad. Most of them are running on phone.
So you give away an iPad as part of this?
No, they bring their own. Most are running on the phone, so they just need a mobile phone. Everything we do is responsive. So then we give them a Stripe terminal, and so when you hit checkout on your mobile phone, it fires up the terminal. Saves them a lot of money. And they can run the cards with the terminal and back into our system. So, but we're looking at insurance as a service, payroll as a service, lending as a service. These are SMBs are busy. The more we can package together for them and give them one throat to choke, the better off they'll be.
And what are you seeing on the macro side? I mean, you're bullish, and we talk about this, but what do you see on the macro side? Because this is really ground level SMB.
Yeah.
And post-COVID, like COVID's over, so we know that. And what's the enthusiasm out there? Like, what's the macro like for these studios?
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, I think if January was the biggest month we've seen so far, but it's also from a relative point of view, the spike in January is bigger than previous Januaries. So January is always the biggest. I always told the fatty. I think it was Foursquare did the fatty solstice story where the first of the year, first week of January. Gym visits are at an all-time high, and fast food visits are at an all-time low. And then there's the second week of February, they cross. Yeah. And I think it was Foursquare called it the fatty solstice, where now fast food visits went up above, workouts, and workouts came down. But, we've seen that same pattern, but it's higher. People are getting back at a higher rate than they used to. And I think we're seeing new studios open, which is great. So I'm bullish on it. I think people want the social interaction. I think now we've been a little more honest about COVID, where it's okay to admit that healthier people did better through COVID. Yeah. Right? I think that was a little taboo at the beginning to talk about that. Now I think we know that maybe we could take it into our own hands and get healthy and, ward off disease.
And then finally, on what you're panicked about, you see it, I see it. I see it for my daughter. My son's the complete opposite. He's playing outside golf all the time. And in the golf program, my daughter loves her company, loves her job, but it's Zoom. And I'm like, this isn't normal. Her boss is in another city that she hasn't met. And I worry, like, at least New York's a very social city, so she goes out and she works out and she goes out with friends every night. So to her, it's just a new normal. To me, it's like she grew up on The Office, right? And I used to hear her giggling in the other room. And I tell this story over and over because that, I think, was her fantasy. We had Gilligan's Island as kids. Like, it was all true fantasy. You're not going to get stranded on a desert island with Ginger and Marianne.
Still holding out. And
if it could happen, we would have wished that would have happened, right? And it wasn't going to be Brady Bunch where Howard, meet your 3 new hot sisters. Anything goes, because look at me, I married their mom. So that was our fantasy. Or Hogan's Heroes, where like I'm going to be, it won't be so bad. I'll be in a prison war, but the Germans are idiots. So those are my 3 shows. But
you've lost everybody.
Now I forget what I was going to say. But what I was going to say is she grew up with the Office fantasy, which was the boss is an idiot, but he was there every day. The office romance, the downstairs, the plant that didn't respect the people upstairs, the bosses, the drama, the politics, the drunk salesman, the idiot that gets all the credit. And that I used to hear that was her fantasy, even though she thought it was a show. And then real life work is nothing like that. And that wasn't that long ago. It was like the best show for a generation. And now there is no Office. So I think there is something really wrong. And I worry about it. What are you seeing?
I don't know if she's laughing because that's her fantasy or she's laughing at how stupid her parents are, right? I think that's
both.
Like, I think our kids...
She will, when we get together, she will watch these shows like you would watch your favorite show. She'll sit with me and just giggle.
Yeah.
Hoping that I giggle at the same. I think it's more fantasy because the Office romance.
Sure.
And that it was a team and they rallied around things, and they had meetings,
Yeah. Well, back to the Digitaria days, we had about 125 people in the office here in San Diego. And some of those relationships, many of those relationships are still going very, very strong today. So I know people whose entire friend group came out of that office. And I still have many people that I talk to from that office on a regular basis. And, you went to lunch with them every day. There was happy hour maybe every day. You worked through challenges and you solved problems with them every day. You learn to deal with a lot of different types of people. So you're not just in sort of a homogenous group of people that, have your same affinity. Mm-hmm. You had to work with a bunch of different types of people. And so I think that, aside from the quality of work and all that, I still think the social part, getting to know different types of people, getting out of your comfort zone of who you're interacting with, even small talk. You seeing somebody in the kitchen and from a different department, you got to figure out how to say something to them. You lose all that with the remote. You're just trying not to step on toes with the Zoom microphone.
And so what are you thinking about as you grow?
Sitting here in my sweatpants and working every day as much as anybody else. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate the solitude at times. But there's plenty of days that I think that I'm frustrated that we can't collaborate more quickly. So, I do think it has to go hybrid. I wouldn't object to going back full time. I think there's a lot to be gained. But, in those days, we used to talk about all the time, like, should we have cubicles? Should we have open offices? Remember, before COVID, open office was the devil. Yeah. We went to open office and everybody said, oh my God, nobody can work anymore because we have an open office. And then they put them in cubicles and they said, oh my God, nobody can collaborate anymore because everybody's in a cubicle. So we used to fight about different things and we've forgotten about those things. I think you got to do both. And I think it depends on the type of work you're doing. Engineers need focus.
You're like a composer. You got to deal with all these different new problems.
Right.
So, but it seems like you're enjoying it. So I'm excited for you.
Yeah, we have great people. Our clients are great.
What's the big, hairy, audacious goal? It would be 1,000 gyms? Like, what's the metric that matters to you?
The big goal really is 10,000 at this point. Mm-hmm. But I think we're going to be patient and persistent. And, we spent the first year making sure our clients loved us. And we hope we've accomplished that. And now we're building product at a high velocity. So
it's hellowalla.com for people who know studio owners or want to help us out. They won't be disappointed in the product. How big's the team now? 20?
It's about 35 now.
Wow. I think last time I checked 20.
Yeah.
So great. And you got Gary there in San Diego to chat with, so that's good.
Yeah, we have a great group of investors, and our clients are fantastic. They always give us feedback, so it's going good.
All right, my man. Well, hellowalla.com. I'm glad to catch up here. It's fun. And I'm going to see you over the summer, so that'll be great. We'll get together and hit a few balls. Are you hitting them at all? I haven't hit them at all.
Well, I just got back from Pinehurst. That's what I was telling you. And
Ooh.
it was, have you been there?
I've been there. And I used to have game when I played there. It's still tough. I remember it just being brutally tough. The greens and the approach shots. Yeah.
Impossible. But
did you play the par 3 course?
The Cradle, yes.
And did you enjoy that?
No, it's fantastic. You're barefoot, drink in your hand.
Yeah, so wait till you see what we're building. Fund 4, our grass clippings company in Phoenix.
Okay.
So we're building a par 3 masterpiece.
That's awesome. It's a great experience. I mean, the place is like Disneyland for golfers, and it's just hard. It's really hard.
It's just a grind. Yeah, and we're getting old. The grind is not real.
Yeah, but I still respect your game. You hit it down the middle. Doesn't go super far, but it's straight down the middle.
Yeah, that was. See the way he insulted me there? He just called me a lady.
Well, no, I call that old man golf.
Yeah, it is old man. I'm not an old man, and I golf like an old man, and that's very frustrating to me. And I'm kind of parked my game until I have time to dedicate to play a little younger. It's really interesting as an older person. I refuse to act my age, and golf is making me feel older the way I hit the ball. So there's just, I think you can't do all things well. And golf is one of those sports that will creep and eat you alive. The way these young people play golf is just fascinating. The club head speed and the reckless, the ability to just mentally tune out to like the travesties of the game.
Well,
fascinating.
Playing with your son, I just forgot that I ever could actually move in those ways. My back would turn like that, or
and they just all learned it in a different way, and that goes to yoga too. The amount of talented people that just go to these classes and really just enjoy yoga is fascinating. It's really. I mean, even Ethan, you're doing hot yoga. It's a fascinating sport. It's not going away. Yoga is just stronger than ever.
Yeah, and I think it'll continue. I mean, we're finding all these other, like you said, stretch and Legree, and there's something for everybody. Okay, awesome. Well, you're the man. Thanks for taking the time. Thank you. Let you get back to work. And we'll check in the next year or so. Yeah, let me know when you're in town. All right, buddy. All right. Talk to you soon. See you soon. So, Knut. Yeah. Old salty pro. Yeah. Ethan. Smart guy. Well, yeah, he's smart. They're always smart, but it's impressive the way, it's quiet. Those quiet companies that we've built up where there's no hoopla, no promotion. They just got to build. But they have so much domain experience, which is still the killer piece. Yeah. Where he knows that, like, competition doesn't matter. They've mispriced everything because if you price this thing too low, your yoga instructors just run you out of business with phone calls and support calls. So these are very complicated. They sound like, oh, let's throw some software at this. But no, there's intricate enterprise operations that you need to know. All right. Well, that was fun for me. That is a portfolio company, Hello Walla. And that was Doug Hecht, who's a great entrepreneur in San Diego, of all places. So there's winners all over the place in this world, not just San Francisco and New York. You are listening to Panic with Friends. I am Howard Lindzon. Search my name or Panic with Friends on Google, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And you will see Panic with Friends. Subscribe, please. You will get a podcast every Thursday. We talk to founders, investors, traders, speculators, talk about trends and how to get a little bit ahead of everybody. Thanks, Knut. Thanks, Ethan. We'll see everybody next week. Be sure to listen just another minute to hear more about the special offer for Panic listeners from our sponsor, DSTNC.com. I started getting into cycling about 8 years ago and discovered an incredible community of like-minded individuals sharing the same passion. I consider myself a fashionable guy, but when it comes to cycling wear, the selection is extremely limited and it's challenging to find the right size and fit. Last year, I met a former pro cyclist and his business partner wife who shared my dilemma and decided to address it head on. Together, they created Distance, the first marketplace that features premium cycling apparel and accessories from leading brands worldwide. I recognized the potential of the business, and we decided to invest through social leverage. We also put together an incredible group of friends who love cycling and invested alongside. What sets Distance apart is its thoughtful curation of apparel, highlighting the latest fabric technologies designed to enhance the rider's experience.
The site is constantly refreshed with new and exclusive product launches, all hand-selected for their quality and innovation. But what truly sets Distance apart is its commitment to customer satisfaction. They offer free express shipping and easy returns, and the community of athletes, ambassadors, and enthusiasts they've cultivated is unparalleled. If you're a cyclist like me or no one and seek the best in cycling apparel, check out Distance. That's DSTNC.com. And for a limited time, save 15% on your purchase by using the code PANIC15. That's DSTNC.com, and the code is PANIC15. Also, don't forget to sign up to join their community, and you'll gain access to exclusive offers, social rides, and community events.
Howard Lindzon is the founder and general partner at Social Leverage. All opinions expressed by Howard and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Social Leverage or StockTwits. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon for decisions. Guests may maintain positions in securities discussed in this podcast.